Welcome back to Fickle Sports. It's game week 24. Let's get straight into it. And this is a game week with a few bonuses. There's 2 extra games in this game week, and the added bonus of Gary had to do a payoff as he lost the previous month's predictions. And the payoff was I asked Gary to get dressed in a full suit, except give us a 12, Gary.
Yes, this is it. Not only is Alex asked me to try and fit into a suit I can barely fit after a year, he's made me do it backwards. And it's taken me an hour to get into this suit, but let me give you a little swirl around. I feel constricted. I don't know. If I have to use the toilet in the next half an hour, we have some logistical issues because the trousers are backwards as well. I don't know what to do with a 1 or a 2. So
don't act as if you don't pee like a lady.
I also sit backwards on it as well.
So the payoff is Gary has to wear his suit backwards for the entirety of the video.
Yes, I'm very stressed out. But a quick thank you to all our subscribers, old and new. We really do appreciate it. And on to our score table. Now, our subscriber scores. S was the winner with 10 points with 2 perfect scores. And between Alex and I, Alex scored 5 and I scored 2. So that means the score for the game week so far is 10-7. And I am very concerned after what is a very stressful score prediction for me.
Before we get into the games, Gary, I'm gonna let you off slightly. You can take off the jacket.
Thank you, so merciful. Next up is Leicester City versus Liverpool, and Leicester City, it wasn't a great performance at all. It was quite a poor performance against a Wolves side who was, struggling for form. And, Wolves created by far the greater chances. And, they really couldn't contain Neto on the right-hand side, who was getting deep into their box and causing all sorts of mayhem. But at the end of the day, Leicester, it was some excellent last-ditch defending, which essentially earned them a point. And even towards the end, Fabio Silva missed a great chance. So I feel like Leicester kind of got away with it. And despite that, Vardy still had a great chance to nick it all right at the end with that header, and he just missed. It's disappointing because Leicester were considered dark horse title contenders, and they could have gained by winning that game against Wolves. But it's a missed chance. But I feel like against Liverpool they might be able to take advantage of a very struggling Liverpool side.
For Liverpool, I think, I'll be honest with you, I imagine the mentality for a lot of the Liverpool fans would have been, I think, what a lot of people would have expected. I think they were hoping for the best, but very much preparing for the worst. Because if you looked at Liverpool before that City game, they were a little bit off. They've been off form, and they're coming up against City, who are going in the complete opposite direction at the moment. They really, really look almost impossible to beat. And the game probably went similar to how a lot of Liverpool fans thought it would go. They're just not... They're not the races at the moment. And what made it worse for them, they come in with a shout when Salah scored the penalty. What made it worse for them is Alisson seemed to have a bit of an off day as well. So I think when you take into account that and one of your better players, because, Alisson had a few dodgy moments when he first signed, but other than that, he's been one of their best players. So when one of your best players doesn't perform, it's never really going to end well for them. But I think they will kind of tuck that one under the rug. They know they come up against a very good City side and hope they can get back amongst the points against Leicester.
Yeah, I feel it's unfortunate. A makeshift back four. They're trying to build up from the back because that's their style. And it was clever tactics by Pep Guardiola to pressure them, and it's just unfortunate.
What's your prediction for this one?
Both teams are not performing so well. I think I'm going to go for a 2-2 here.
Oh, this is a really difficult one to call, but I think I'm just leaning towards Leicester, so I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester. Next game up is Crystal Palace versus Burnley, and in Palace's last game it was that 2-0 loss to Leeds, and It was a really bad game for Palace. I feel. Don't get me wrong. That really early, and it was a really unfortunate goal to concede because it took a deflection. That was a massive setback to take really on in the game. So I understand that it's always difficult to come back from that. But I feel like they made it too easy for Leeds to break them down. And the second goal they scored, they did make it really easy for Leeds. Although I have to be fair to the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, he did make quite a few good saves. But the best chance they got, really, I think, fell to Eze. But it was too late by then, and he wasn't able to convert that. Unfortunately, smashing it over the bar. But I think overall it was quite a bad performance from Palace, and not really what we've been seeing from them over the last few weeks.
For Burnley, I'd be quite disappointed in that game because they showed a lot of good attacking intent during that game. They created a lot of chances. Chances fell to Ashley Barnes, who, if it bounced another way, or if he got there just a bit quicker, probably would have got the winner. And it's disappointing because Burnley lost their last 2 games, and you're hoping for a good response, and it was a good response. And when you play well and you attack well, because in the beginning of the season Burnley weren't, got to take advantage of these games, and it's just a shame that they didn't, because they still need the points at the end of the day to not maybe get back to where they were last season, but at least approach it in some way.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going, this is difficult, I'm going 2-1 Crystal Palace. I feel Crystal Palace are going to come back against Burnley.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going the same. I'm going 2-1 Palace. I think when it comes down to it, they just have the game changers. They have the players who are more likely to change the game, and I think that will just about give them the advantage.
Next up is Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur, and for Man City, excellent win. It's a statement win. 10 points clear with a game in hand. That's absolutely massive, and to do that at Anfield, which has been quite a bit of a problem stadium for Man City in recent years, is a big deal. I'm just glad that we're here talking about how good Man City played and how much they deserve that win, because yet again, that Anfield sniper sniping down Mo Salah when he's running in on the box, I'm glad we don't have it was controversial, and I'm glad that it didn't have a direct impact on the game. Other than that, I feel like the superlatives go to Phil Foden, because what a generational talent he is. A big call going with him up front as well in a massive game. He did so well, and he did really well going to the right as well afterwards like that, and excellent low center of gravity, absolute perfect technique, and he smashed it along with Ilkay Gundogan, who's just going through the most incredible purple patch. He is aging like a fine wine, this man, and that's kind of weird considering he ballooned a penalty over. City always have these penalty problems. It's kind of weird, but everyone. Go on.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure that at the end of the season, Scooby-Doo and the gang are going to come in, rip Gundogan's face off, and you're going to see Aguero. I called it, right? That is exactly what's going on.
Prime time Aguero, yeah. And, most people will be pointing out to Alisson and his errors, but you have to give credit to Pep Guardiola and the front line, because they pressed really intelligently and, took advantage of a makeshift back four in Liverpool, and you have to be ruthless, and that's exactly what they were.
For Tottenham, I mean, it was a really, really good performance for them. And it's almost like if you show attacking intent, you've got more chance of winning.
Wow.
Mourinho
discovered fire.
Maybe I've been a little bit harsh on Mourinho, but it was really nice to see Tottenham on the front foot. And the frustrating thing for me, especially in the first half, was you saw Tottenham actually coming out, trying to get into West Brom's half, trying to create chances, and they were fluffing their lines a little bit when it comes to finishing. I was thinking, well, it's going to be one of those games. They're finally going to come out their shell, actually use their attacking players, and they're going to miss all the chances. But in the second half, it was their key men, Kane and Son. Obviously, with Kane coming back, that's a massive boost for Tottenham. Although, controversially, Gary, I've got some controversy for you here. Tottenham, I believe, miss Reguilon more than they miss Kane. That's my...
Wow, no, just no. Fine. Just put Kane in the jail and see how you do for the rest of the season, and you can have Reguilon. You'll start sweating after 2 or 3 games.
That's my controversial opinion of the moment. But no, it was a good performance by them. But let's be honest, they're coming up against one of the best teams at the moment in this season. So
yeah,
tough.
Score prediction then for this one.
I wouldn't bet against City against anyone at this moment in time. So I'm going 3-1 City.
I think eventually this City run is going to come to an end. Not in terms of losing, but in terms of probably drawing, stopping the winning run. I'm going 1-1 because I feel there is a frustrating performance with a Mourinho low block.
Next up, it is Brighton versus Aston Villa, and for Brighton, it was that draw with Burnley in their last game, and I don't think from memory, I can't think of a game that was so kind of heads and tails with the performances. Brighton were by far the better team in that first half, and they went 1 goal ahead. Although I do think it was slightly shoddy defended by Burnley, we'll say. But Dunk converted the corner. That's all that matters. They went 1-0 up. They played really well, and I don't know what Deitch said to Burnley at half time, but when Burnley come out, they were very much the better team, and you could see Potter making a few changes, and he tweaked the formation to try and get back on top. And maybe right towards the tail end of the game, Burnley come into it a little bit more, but it was definitely Brighton were better in the first half, Burnley were better in the second half, and I think when you looked at the whole game, a draw was probably fair.
For Aston Villa, beating my team Arsenal, oh God, I mean, this thing is choking the hell out of me, but thinking about that game is making it even worse.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is crying. Internally, there are tears.
I'm slowly losing oxygen to the brain. But Aston Villa, I think that was a very good win because, both teams were quite desperate for a win because they lost midweek and they needed to get back on track, and Aston Villa did exactly that. I think they were the team that were more energetic, more focused, really got at the races, whilst Arsenal were lackadaisical, and it showed in the first couple of minutes. They absolutely pounced on Arsenal and they took full advantage of Arsenal making that mistake at the back, and Aston Villa should have been 2-0 up, really. Traore, he went for the chip, kind of odd. A lot of respect for trying to chip the goalkeeper, but Matt Ryan didn't go down at all. So I felt like if he just went low, it would have been 2-0 straight away. And the only criticism I have of Aston Villa is that maybe they sat back a little bit too much. They did create a lot of chances in the second half, but allowed Arsenal into their half, where Arsenal were kind of dangerous but kind of toothless. But you had a lot of great performances there. You had Matty Cash, who was great, and Target, who was great as well on flanks, and they really defended their asses off, and Aston Villa absolutely deserved this win.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going 2-1 Aston Villa because I think they're the more confident and capable team than Brighton.
I'm going 2-1 Villa. It's a struggle for me. Because I don't know if you remember from last time. There's a bit of a sequence going on with Villa. They win one and they lose one. That sequence has been going on for 6 games. And as you just said, they won their last game. So I kind of want to go for a Villa loss, but they have been very good away from home. So I'm just siding with Villa 2-1.
Next up is Southampton versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. And for Southampton, it's been a bit of a dismal week, a proper dismal week for Southampton. You're known previously for a 9-0 loss. You don't want to be known for another 9-0 loss. And, up against a Newcastle team who's shown a bit of form, but really are not as good as Southampton. Southampton should have, on a normal day, should have taken Newcastle to the sword. But as the saying goes, confidence is really slow to build and very quick to lose. And I get that feeling with Southampton currently on a run of 5 defeats, I think. Yeah, it's poor defending. Again, not at the races at the beginning, giving themselves a mountain to climb and really, really struggling. And As good as they were at the beginning of the season, I feel like 5 losses in a row, that wipes out all the goodwill at the beginning of the season. Doesn't matter what happens, and it's really bad times for Southampton. They didn't show the goals they scored. Okay, one was a free kick, but didn't seem like the Southampton that we saw at the beginning of the season.
For Wolves, it was that 0-0 draw with Leicester, and here's what I'm going to say about this game. If that game happened last season, the way Wolves were playing, I think they'd be really, really disappointed with that, because I think they created the better chances, and they'd probably be walking away thinking that they should have taken all 3 points. But where they are at this point in the season, and when you consider how awful their form has been prior to the Arsenal game, I actually think they'll take this a little bit. They'll actually just take this result. They'll take the clean sheet and they'll move on with it. I don't think they'll be too disheartened with the fact they wasn't able to convert 1 point into 3, even though they had the better chances. But they did play really well. You mentioned Neto played really well earlier. Do you know what I really enjoyed? It was the Justin versus Traore battle, and I do think Traore did edge that battle, as he does with most left backs or right backs in the Premier League. But it was a really entertaining game. I think they'll take the positives out of it and move on to this one.
That miss by Silva, though, that's unfortunately. I don't want to be too harsh on the kid, because it is a kid at the end of the day, but this is your time to shine. You've got to take these chances.
2 things. One, you mentioned it earlier, so I wasn't going to do him dirty and mention it again. And 2, was he 17, 18 now? He might be... he's barely got a few hairs around his dick. I think, he needs to build. You can give him a few years.
Score prediction. I've lost all concentration. As you can imagine, what am I thinking? But yeah, go on, score prediction.
3-1 Wolves.
I'm going 2-0 Wolves for this one. I think Wolves, Silva will grow a bit more and then score.
Next up, it is West Brom versus Manchester United, and in West Brom's last game, it was that 2-0 loss to Tottenham, and it was unfortunate for them that Kane come back into the side, because it was a bit 50-50 whether or not Kane was going to even play, let alone start. So it was unfortunate for them, because Kane was causing them quite a few troubles, although, to be fair, Johnson, certainly in the first half, was equal to them. And in the end, to be honest with you, it was Lloris who made the best save. West Brom had that glorious chance to go ahead, but Lloris just, stuck his arm out there and somehow managed to keep the ball from going in the net. That was so close. In the second half, though, Tottenham were able to turn the screw, and they got 2 goals in 4 minutes, which really put West Brom behind. And what must be quite frustrating for the West Brom fans is, as soon as that second goal went in, West Brom really rallied and really showed what they're capable of. You had a few really good chances. Some, quite a few of them were ruled offside, but I think they did rally towards the end. So there's small positives to come for that, but they really do need to pick up form if they want to stay in the league.
For Man United, we need some Man United fans to get into the comments, because I don't know, when covering Man United, I just find them so weird. I just find them, I can't make sense of them, covering them. For a long while, you could argue that they put in some not so convincing, clunky performances, and they win those outright because their finishing was absolutely ruthless. But then you lose to Sheffield United at home, then you beat Southampton 9-0, and then this time against Everton, you put in what could be considered like a really good attacking performance, and then all of a sudden it's the defence that's now suddenly not, as solid as it was from the first half of the season. So it's just like, you're weird, I don't understand. But there were some excellent finishes against Everton. Perfect cross into Cavani. I think Man United should just continue with Cavani up front. He's so hungry for goals, and he spearheads that attack really well. And then that man Bruno Fernandes, that's an outrageous goal. It's kind of the goal or shot that you look at the goalkeeper, you don't kind of respect the goalkeepers. He just like, I'm just gonna ping this in over the goalkeeper. It was absolutely excellent. But Man United deserved to win this game, albeit got a bit lucky with the third goal, because Olsen decided he wasn't going to save it, and you lose it with the last kick of the game. So it's super frustrating the last couple of weeks for Man United fans.
What's your prediction for this one?
I am going I can see Man United getting back to this. So I'm going 2-0 Man United.
Yeah, I'm going 3-0 Manchester United.
Next up is Arsenal versus Leeds. And Arsenal, you are causing me all sorts of pain and suffering on top of my wisdom tooth removal last week. It's been that bad. I don't know. I just feel like they're fine margins, right? A mistake at the back and then we're punished, and that's basically it. That's kind of the way that happens for a mid-table team. Like, they just can't control the key moments. Yeah, I think Arsenal really pour out of the gate. What annoyed me most was that, okay, you have the injustice against Wolves, getting Luis sent off and really having some bad decisions by the referee. They should be fired up for this game. It just doesn't make any sense that they came out so lethargic, and the mistakes came through in that game. They got better in the second half, yeah, but they were getting into Aston Villa's half, but really lacking the final, cutthroat edge, the ruthless ability to score a goal, and it was poor all round from Arsenal at the end of the day. And they if you're not ready out of the gate, you don't deserve to win.
For Leeds, it was that 2-0 win versus Palace, and you know what? It was a really, really good victory for them, a really complete victory for them. They played really well offensively and defensively, and don't get me wrong, they were helped with the fortunate goal early on, but the thing is, there's getting that early goal and then there's keeping it and then there's building on it, and Leeds took that and they really did. They just went through the gears and Palace weren't really able to handle them. Bamford had quite a few chances, and I thought he was going to have another one of those games where he misses just chance after chance. He keeps on getting into good positions, but he was able to sort that for himself in the second half. It was actually a very good finish, I felt. First time from the goalkeeper's save. And before we do move on to anything else, I do just want to say what a filthy bit of skill by Rafinha. He didn't just send Cahill back to Chelsea. He didn't just send him back to Bolton. He sent him all the way back to his Aston Villa days. And quite frankly, he should probably retire.
I mean, if that happened to me on a 5-side pitch, I'd have to go all out, like not swinging, but I'd have to be doing some serious fouling up and down the pitch.
Paul Scholes style. No, but it was a very complete performance from Leeds, and I think they'll be very, very confident coming into this one.
Okay, score prediction then. Yeah.
I know I've just said Leeds are going to be very confident, and it's weird because Leeds can be a weird side, but Arsenal could be a weird side. So it's like, which team's going to be good weird and which team's going to be bad weird? And I can't decide, so I'm going to ask you to go first.
Well, I just think Arsenal will flatter to deceive again, and my head sort of sees like a draw or a Leeds win. But I can't do it. Mickey. I'm going 3-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way, which probably means, ladies and gentlemen, put your money on a draw. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. Next up is Everton versus Fulham, and in Everton's last game, they served up what might just be the game of the last game week in that 3-3 draw with Manchester United. And it just kept going different ways. It really was a brilliant, brilliant game to watch. And I thought Everton threw it away when they went 2-0 down. But fair play to Ancelotti, made some changes, and I think that really gave them the advantage. They managed to get back to 2-2. I thought, well, this is it. They could go on and win it. Then McTominay scores. And just when you think it's all over, and to be fair to Everton, like, they deserve that. I really do think they deserve that. And United fans may not want to hear this, but the thing is, I was on their side when they were doing it to other teams. Sometimes it's just the way it goes, but it was absolutely brilliant by Calvert-Lewin, although there's a little bit shoddy by Maguire. Quite awful.
That's where Maguire has to earn his money for me, right there. He has to get on the head of that and clear it. But
this isn't about Manchester United, this is about Everton. I think it was a very good performance from them. I think they'll take a lot of confidence from that game. And coming up against the Fulham side, they might be able to think they'll get quite a few goals against.
Fulham. Another game week, another ball draw. And it just feels like it's going to be a death by 1,000 draws for Fulham because, there are quite a lot of positives in this game. I feel like Fulham created like a lot of chances to score. You had Lookman, who was very lively throughout the game, and Deco Cordova Reed. Oh, that's a tongue twister, that one. It could have scored a worldie, but obviously I'm not expecting him to score there. And then Loftus-Cheek, once again, he is... I mean, he's playing well, but he's a scourge of Fulham right now. He just really can't find the back of the net. He had a glorious chance again, and he fluffed it. He's got all the technique in the world. I don't understand. Maybe he needs like a mentor or a coach, psychiatrist. I don't know. He might need Andy Johnson to whisper him in his ear whilst he's going in on goal, telling him where to score. But yeah, it's quite frustrating. And I feel like Scott Parker did a very good interview and explaining how much he believed in the players. But I guess the question really is like, for the players, do they believe they can get out of this hole? Because it doesn't seem like it to me.
What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going 2-1 Everton. I think they'll be buoyed by that draw against United.
I'm going 3-1 Everton. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I did just say I think this is a game where Everton will be looking to score quite a few goals.
And West Ham, they came up that game against Fulham with a great run of form. They won 7 out of their last 8, and that loss was against Liverpool. So you were really sort of backing West Ham, and they're the better side against Fulham. But on the day, I feel like they're pretty lucky to have got a point out of this, because Fulham, created a lot of the chances, and West Ham really found it difficult to create chances and attack the Fulham defence, which is kind of weird because West Ham have been very good in that department, and they hit the bar with Kufal, but other than that, they didn't really have that many major chances. And then after suffering a ball draw and getting to the 96th minute, West Ham had to suffer the blight of Mike Dean and his ridiculousness for that red card for Souček, Souček's having a great season, so they'll be without him for the next game. And you know what's more?
No. It was rescinded. They appealed.
Straight away.
They literally appealed it, and within I think it was the next day, maybe 2 days later, they rescinded it. So fair play to the FA for that one.
Good. I mean,
rightfully so.
The FA have been doing so many gaffes recently that it's a good one to go through. But yeah, Mike Dean just made everyone suffer by looking at it 1,000 times and taking absolutely forever. So it's good. You just wish that there was common sense applied, but I don't trust any of these refs. But end of the day, take the point and move on.
For Sheffield United, you know what? They didn't play too badly. And don't get me wrong, the only goal that they scored was Rudiger going a bit cray-cray with that back pass, and then the penalty. It probably was a penalty. But I think overall, Sheffield United can probably take confidence, not just from that game where they did create quite a few chances, they just weren't able to convert, especially towards that tail end of the game. They're really pushing Chelsea. But the fact that they've got 3 wins in the last 6 games, and when you take into account that that's against teams such as Tottenham, Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea. So I think, there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Have they left it too late for a great escape? Maybe, but I don't think the Chelsea game was all doom and gloom for them. I think there are positives to take from it.
Score prediction. Who are you going with on this one?
Yeah, this is one I've struggled with most. I've really kind of been looking into it to see who I think will come out on top. I'm going with a draw, 1-1.
I'm going West Ham in this, 2-1 to West Ham. I think they'll come back after a disappointing result.
Next up is Chelsea versus Newcastle, and in Chelsea's last game, it was that 2-1 win over Sheffield United, and Tuchel managed to keep his unbeaten run as Chelsea manager going. And I have to say, the game from a neutral was actually really, really interesting to watch. It was started lightning. Both teams could have gone ahead really early, but in the end, it was Chelsea and Mount who took the lead. And I think the interesting thing with that one, Werner actually got a very good assist. I thought it was quite a good pass at the beginning run and then pass to Mount for the actual assist. So I think that might be quite confidence boosting for them. They weren't able to hold on to the lead for too long, though, because Rudiger, I don't know what he was thinking. But he decided to, help Sheffield United a little bit. They have such little points. He thought, I'll give them a goal. And in the end, Chelsea managed to get a penalty. Jorginho, in his very weird way, managed to convert it. And I think what Tuchel would also be very happy with is Sheffield United come on quite strong towards the end of the game, but Chelsea were able to defend really well and managed to keep them out to take all 3 points.
Who is this new team that just got parachuted into the Premier League? They wear black and white, and they have Steve Bruce, who's known for his philosophy of attacking football, supercharged by Saint Maximin on the left. They call them Newcastle. Is that what it is? Look at that attacking performance by Newcastle. That was great to finally see some of the shackles come off is for Steve Bruce's side, who, he was in the cosh, really. There was a lot of talk about him being sacked like 4 games ago, and look what happens when St. Maximin comes on the left and Almiron goes through the middle, and they just look a bit more revitalized. Joe Willock, fresh young legs to score, and that was a very good game against Southampton. They really got down Southampton's flanks and caused them all sorts of trouble. St. Maximin, tore Bednarek up and the fullback up. It was quite scary, and they've been missing him so much. And it's hopefully something that Newcastle can build upon. They have the players to do this, and I feel like they're set up tactically different now. And I feel like a lot of teams may be preparing for the old Newcastle, and they might be able to pick up quite a few more points against other teams.
I think what you also got to add to that is the confidence boost they will get is I think they finished the match with 9 players. The fact they was able to do that and see the result out, it was a very good result for them.
Score prediction though.
I'm going Chelsea, but I'm going to go for an entertaining 3-2.
Yeah, this might be a stretch too far for Newcastle. I'm going 2-1 Chelsea here.
And for this game week, we are blessed with 2 extra fixtures. And obviously, we don't know what happened in the last fixtures of these games because they haven't actually happened yet. So, Burnley versus Fulham. Gary, what's your prediction for this one?
I'm going with Burnley on this one. I still, as well as Fulham play, they just can't find the cutting edge, and Loftus-Cheek is frustrating me to the nth degree. So I'm going 1-0 Burnley here.
Well, you know what? I see a good performance coming from Fulham, so I think I also don't want to go against Burnley. I think I'm going 1-1.
Next up in the double game week is Everton versus Man City, and can Everton do the hokey pokey and get another result against a Manchester team? It's gonna be really difficult. I don't think so. I'm going 3-1 Man City here.
Yeah, for me, the way City are looking at the moment, how well they're playing offensively and defensively, I think until they start showing signs of slipping up, it doesn't matter who's at the other end of that fixture. If it's Man City playing, I think they're going to win. I'm going 2-0 City. Gary, it's nice to know that you do actually have a decent side. For this whole time I was thinking, damn, this guy doesn't look good from any angle, but it turns out
beautiful from this angle,
no? He also has a button undone, you fucking floozy. Thank you everyone for watching, we really appreciate it, and we hope to see you next week.